Thank you, Riff. Safe travels to those guys. Breaking down that game, let's touch on some individuals, some specific things really quickly. I want to look at the J4 Lissandra matchup in the top lane because it's something that has been rumored in the past as a great pick against Lissandra, but we haven't seen it for a while this season. We've been seeing just this, more of the standard top laners picked into Lissandra.
Yeah, Lissandra, the hard counters are things like Maokai, where you can go in and stop her E with your W and then Q her afterwards, like a lot of lockup. J4 kind of fills into the same role, except he's a little more aggressive, a little more front damage loaded, so you can just constantly trade with her back and forth. He does fall off late game, though, and that's the caveat, is that his output later on, it's very risky. You kind of have to shut the Lissandra down. They did that in kills, but they didn't keep him down in CS. So ultimately, you did see the Lissandra come back into the game, and then the J4 kind of fall off and not be as relevant.
I do have to say, though, Gamsu did play well
in
the early lane. He even got focused, came out 2-0-0 even in CS, which is great. And now if we expand that to the team compositions, right, we were looking at these two team compositions that had really heavy engage, right? Both had mechanics to engage through bindings or, anti-stuns and things like that. So it was a really explosive game when the fights actually arrived.
Yeah, both of these were very heavy lockdown compositions, and the team that makes the first move is usually in the best possible position if you keep your backline safe. So you engage, you throw it down on the priority targets. There is a team fight, though, that I want to pull up on you guys' screen here that happened around the Baron, and it's the counter engage from Sejuani. This is the really big part of this fight. They see Kiwi Kid jumps in, and usually the first idea is, we got the engage, we can go. The counter engage from Sejuani with the Glacial Prison onto the two damage dealers of Shifter and Gamsu, lock them up and stop them from continuing this engage. Kiwi Kid, I don't even think he thought that he was going to get this good of an engage on 3 people. You see it there, locks up Shifter, Azingi, and Gamsu. They blow up balls before he can Zhonya's, but this lockdown composition from Dignitas is not AoE focused in the large scale. They can get people who are very close together, but Hai is able to break away from the pack and be this huge threat to the team comp with his slicing Maelstrom. And you saw it there. You can focus one mage, blow him up, but there's 2 here for Cloud9.
Right, and the amount of time that Dignitas then spent incapacitated between the Sejuani ult followed by Kennen as well. They were just, it was a fantastic engagement by Kiwi, and we heard Jat say it in the actual casting of the game. He's not going to find better engagements than this, so it's a matter of either following up and positioning correctly that you can't be countered across the board by a Sejuani ult.
And there's something here too that I am really interested in because I've been playing more and more in terms of with the team. When you're looking for these engages, you have to tell your team, I'm looking for this. If I see it, I will go on it. So that they are already in the position to be like, I know this is the contingency that we're going to jump at. So Kiwi Kid, if he was communicating to his team that if I see 2 or 3 people standing next to each other, I will go. As opposed to snatching an opportunity that presents itself and not having the communication there.
Right.
So that looked like one of the ones where it was kind of like, I know I want to Tibbers, and he goes for it, but his team was not right there with him. But the fact is, they collapsed fast. It wasn't that they weren't reacting to it fast enough. It's that they all got locked up by Meteos reacting. So He was like, I'm seeing Kiwi come in. I'm going to stop Kiwi's ultimate.
Yeah, they ended up collapsing into the Wombo combo counter engage. The other thing that I do want to touch on, and Hai mentioned it, is that he ended up on Kennen, right? And normally, or as of right now, we're seeing Kennen appear in the top lane. Originally, our thought was that he ended up on that champion because, well, Zed's banned out. What's another huge comfort pick that, Hai has had in the past? If you go all the way back to his beginning, era in the LCS, a lot of Kennen, as Riv mentioned, 6-0 now on that champion, so clearly comfortable. We thought, oh, that was the intended pick, but he actually points out Balls didn't want to play it. So there's some adaptation there between the teammates in sharing champion pools or taking burdens away from players that aren't comfortable doing it in the normalcy.
Yeah, and like you said, it's a Season 3 pick for him, and he's familiar with that champion, of course. They've played double mages with Vladimir Kennen back in the day, with Meteos on a hard engage like Zac. Now Sejuani's filling that role. But the fact that they're able to have that type of on-the-ball pivot in champion select is very beneficial for them as a team. But they have to be able to be practiced at that. If you're just throwing that in there and you're like, I don't want to play it, it's like, what do you mean you don't want to play it? We picked Kennen and Lissandra, you don't want to play it? So that's one of the situations where it can backfire, but the fact that they were able to pull it off was great. And he did touch on the fact that Kennen and team fighting seems very prevalent right now, which actually sparked in my mind, because currently on the PBE, the inner turrets, the shield on them is actually reduced, and the middle one doesn't give a shield right now. So if those changes go through, I wonder if the meta is just going to completely shift from team fighting into sieging. Like, because he said it wasn't very rewarding right now. So Kennen's in the meta today, in 2 weeks. I don't know what's going to happen.
All right, well, before we get to that 2 weeks, we do get to see them at IEM. So as Hai said, hopefully they'll have a somewhat better of a performance there. I do want to take a moment, though, to touch on the remake that was awarded to Cloud9 at the beginning of the game. Now, it was determined that Hai had selected the proper masteries page, but upon loading into the game, he noticed the game imported the incorrect page. He then made the LCS officials aware of the situation. They verified the bug, and as per LCS rules, if a remake is requested for a bug, before it is a game of record, the remake will be granted. So given all of those circumstances, and because he made it very clear that it was not his error but the game's error, he was awarded the remake. Now we are going to reset the rift for our next match, but meet us back here in 3.5. TSM will take on the only team they have yet to beat this year, Team 8. Stay tuned.
I need more heat packs.
Got one?
I only have 4. I'm sitting on heat packs. It feels so good.
They're gonna ball step. He goes down first. Hai re-engages 1-for-1. Core JJ drops. A Zingy will follow. Hai pops the Zonias.
There's the flash initiation.
Elimination gonna blow up first. Hai, can he try to re-engage? Well, Balls will drop 2-for-0. Meteor's forced out, but Hai explodes the backline. 3-man stun shift goes in. They catch Balls. It's the fight starting up, but it's 2 kills. Cloud9. Meteors get stunned, but that's the only target. There's the hard engage onto the turret, just like old times. Cloud9 dive in. 1 kills, 2 kills, 3 kills, 4. Cloud9, their eyes are on first place. They took Dignitas down today. Let's maybe get there.